What is up, my deranged little unicorns? Go pour yourself a cup of fuck yeah and chase it down with 2 shots of I don't give a damn, because you are listening to Unhinged Inc. I'm your host, Shaun Ashwell. Let's get into the episode. Well, this is the first episode, guys, of Unhinged Inc. Thank you for joining us. As I mentioned, I've got a special guest here today who just happens to be my husband, Shaun Ashwell, or better known around town as Shrek, Tank. What else?
And by special, she means retarded.
Well, a lot of people sort of wanted to know what the podcast was about. Essentially, I was inspired by the chats that I have here in the salon. Actually, should we back it up? Hi, my name's Jara.
I like it when you back it up.
This is going to be really hard to edit if you keep doing stuff like this. Okay, whatever. So, yeah, my name's Jara and this is my husband, Shaun. I own a beauty business called Ink Beauty. Had to think about that a bit too hard there.
Nearly went OHG.
No, I nearly went Unhinged Inc. because I'm in Unhinged Inc. today. No. Anyway, so owner and operator of that, I have a beautiful home salon in Kurrajong and always wanted to sort of do a podcast, and the conversations and the vastness and depth and the most random conversations you could ever have with all different kinds of walks of life with clients in the salon and whatnot, I needed to bring that to you guys. So all topics are a go. We have quite a few guests already confirmed, but we'll touch a bit on that a bit later. But that's essentially where the podcast was born from, which is kind of funny because I'm someone who probably 3 years ago wouldn't even go and order food.
That's a lie. Our first date, she tried to fight the waitress.
I did not try to fight the waitress.
Bubble tea.
I was simply asking what was in the bubbles, and this lovely lady kept saying bubbles. I'm like, but what's in the tea? Bubbles. What are the bubbles made of? Bubbles. This went on for about 20 minutes. So I did not punch her, full disclosure.
And
I did not fight her. That's pretty much where I fell in
love with her. I thought, this is my girl.
Whatever. How did Ink Beauty come about?
Ink Beauty came about because you were Oh Hello Gorgeous and you didn't like the name, and then you changed to Ink Beauty.
Okay, so then how did Oh Hello Gorgeous?
Well, you worked in a very toxic work environment, a very male-dominated work environment.
Correct.
One day you came home just randomly out of the blue and went, I want to do beauty. And I was like, okay. And then 2 weeks later you were enrolled into the courses, and probably about 2 months into your courses, once you completed a couple of the you hadn't completed the full courses but the modules. You started driving from house to house to house late at night
after work, setting up in people's lounge rooms.
And then that grew and grew and grew until one day you'd had enough I'm not going to name the workplace, and you were like, I've had enough.
I'm out.
And then we had a lady come over to buy a painting from our house, and funnily enough that she had a beauty business as well, and you rented a room off her. And then from there, you probably wouldn't have been there so long, but my lazy ass didn't build the salon for you.
Which is where we're actually sitting in today. So this is my waiting area in my salon at home that we did all by ourselves except for the electrical work. So shout out to
Tim Buss from T-Bus Electrical.
Local fellas.
Mm-hmm. Good lad.
Good lad. If you need some wiring done, they're the ones to call.
Yep. And then once you got out of that space, you actually rented a space for a very short time while I was finishing this off a good mate of ours, old Courtney from Noir. Yes, I can't.
Courtney, she's owner of Noir the Space, which is on Ingham Road at West End, and best place to get your hair done. So, she the bestie.
There for probably maybe 2 months, max a month.
Can you count?
No,
probably 5 months.
Oh, it's close.
I was meant to be there for 2 weeks because this was going to get done in that time. But anyway, we got here. We've opened up this place. This was pink to start with, which we'll get into a bit of that as well.
It used to irk her soul because her soul's black. So.
Apparently. It's all just about, for me as well, it's been a big growth journey going through. I am so incredibly painfully shy and suffer from crippling anxiety, especially in social settings, which a lot of people are quite shocked to hear, but we get good at putting up masks. So to be talking to random people and strangers was massive for me, let alone driving to their houses and setting up in lounge rooms and doing their beauties from their own homes was very much outside my comfort zone. Now I've forgotten where I was going with it.
I've got a question. I know you come home one day and say I want to do beauty, but what was the actual antagonist for you to say I want to do beauty? Like, what was the light bulb moment, or what was the actual? Did you go get your brows done that day, or what was it?
I think I'd gotten my brows done probably a week earlier at a local place here in Townsville. And look, I wasn't happy in the job I was in. I knew I could do more. Previously, before I'd moved up here to Townsville, oh yeah, I thought I wanted to be a nurse.
Everyone don't mind her. That's her ADHD brain kicking in right there. So,
oh my gosh.
This is what it's like to live with ADHD.
Oh, and memory loss. It's great.
Actually, when we first met, you were studying nursing?
Yes. I was studying nursing and was at uni and did a little bit of a case study. And I am such a sook at heart. I was a blubbering mess, and my tutor was like, I don't think nursing is for you. But I was so hell-bent on wanting to help other people feel better. So I think that's where that tied in. Then I had this really incredible experience getting my brows done, which I was like, I want to do that. Unfortunately, the next time I went back wasn't such a great experience, but that was the catalyst as to why I wanted to start doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
Which for me is a big change from when we first got together. Not saying that you didn't try, but used to wear no shoes to the supermarket, no shoes to pick up your kids.
I still wear no shoes to the supermarket and no shoes to pick up my kids, so you just don't see it as often. Or maybe it's not as noticeable anymore. I don't know. Yeah. So, and then that's just evolved from step to step to step to step. And I absolutely love what I do. I get to wake up every day and actually love my job, which, you know, not many people get to earn money doing what they love and hanging out with pretty cool women day in, day out, chatting about all things weird and wonderful as well. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Lovely. So how long have we been in here now? 2 years?
No, a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I can't count again.
No, so we've been in here for about a year. It's had quite a few changes. When I first got into beauty, obviously there's a stigma around beauty that you need to look a certain way and act a certain way. And if you're watching this, watching the video of this, you'll see that I am not what you would say... No shoes. Sorry, you should pay for that. I should blur the feet out. I don't want to get those for free. Yeah, I just wasn't the typical person. So I showed up how I thought you needed to show up and how all these places tell you you've got to show up. You've got to look a certain way. And I do love pink, don't get me wrong, but that's where that came in. And then, you know, you get uncomfortable when you're dressing when it's not for yourself or you're trying to talk a certain way and all of that. So to be your true authentic self is when I switched over from Oh Hello Gorgeous to Ink Beauty, and it just this just feels like me, and that's a big thing. One of my number one morals and values is being authentic and having authenticity in your life, because life's way too short to be faking stuff. Yeah. Oh my God.
Make a very, very funny joke there, but
no faking. No faking here. So that's where that came from. And then sidestep, we're in Unhinged Ink.
Which I remember you talking about a podcast now from probably nearly 12 months. Probably nearly since we got in here, you were talking about doing a podcast. I should start to learn that you're joking about doing something and then keep on repeating means that you want to do it. So
yeah, I tend to go, I decided, 2 weeks ago? We're going to do it?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Oh, I think you decided like 12 months ago.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you were just
but I went...
testing the waters and...
I said I was looking into it, and then next minute I've bought all the equipment at JB Hi-Fi, and here we are now, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I have Google and YouTubed every step of the way, and...
And you've been on the BJ show, that podcast?
Yep, that BJ show, so that was
I actually think that lit your fire.
A little bit.
I think you going on a podcast and seeing the behind the scenes, I think really gave you that final
as
kick-up.
well. Yeah, I forgot about that. And then, even more so would be Talk Tovi to Me, which is a podcast with two powerhouse women in it, like incredible businesswomen. But besides that, just the most goal-driven and beautiful souls, both incredibly exceptional in their fields. And that I was in such awe of what they were on about and what they wanted to share. And I'm big on giving people a voice as well. A lot of people have a lot of things to say, and you'll see that from the diversity of the guests that will be coming on here.
Oh yeah, speaking of guests, let's rattle off a few.
Do we? Do we like some?
Well, let's give some hints. So one
Right.
is in the media at the moment.
In the media at the moment, a local gal. So she'll be coming on and spilling the tea. We're going to get a really strong woman on who's lifts some really heavy stuff.
Technically, or no, she is not technically. She is the strongest woman in the world.
She's one of my favourite sports people to look up to. Incredibly successful, but so humble.
Very nice lady.
Humble. Very nice woman. Then we're going to dive into the spiritual side. I'm quite a spiritual person. Love my crystals and all of that woo-woo stuff. So we'll have a couple people that will be getting in along those lines, people that can tap into that other side, as well as people that are helping you heal through spiritual guidance, sound baths, ice baths, all those natural remedies, which we're pretty big on in our household, is trying to get away from
Pharmaceuticals, mainstream, government, anything like that.
I probably shouldn't have said that. We'll go down a rabbit hole with this one, but who else?
Couple of girls I work with, they are very, they're very driven, they both work in my industry, which is a very male-dominated industry.
So they're in gold mining exploration. So a lot of people won't know what that means. We think of mining is where you go above ground, below ground, and dig stuff up, so to speak. Part of Shaun's team is they go out and they look for potential mine sites. So these guys are the real MVPs that go out finding gold. And one's a geologist.
They're both geologists.
Both geologists.
One's the head geologist, and one's a project geologist. Very successful, very smart women.
Absolutely. Yep. Our 5 children are going to make a guest appearance. They are very keen, some of them. And then because 5 kids aren't enough, we've got a few dogs in there as well. So you'll probably meet them from time to time. This is the Black Hank, as you can see here, because I'm a little bit obsessed with Hanky Boy. I've got a big tattoo of him on my leg. But
for those who don't know who Hank is, who's not a client of Jared's, Hank is our white version of this. Not quite as big, but just as cool.
Yeah, he's pretty deadly. He is.
Oh, yeah. So why the name?
It was funny. I was texting Abby, one of my clients, who's now one of my really close friends as well. And I'm like, all right, doing the podcast. So we were throwing out names. And I think what was the first one I suggested to you?
It was not Unhinged.
It was something like that.
Crazy.
Something like that. Something along the lines of Unhinged. And then going backwards and forwards, and Unhinged came up. So I quickly jumped onto Spotify and checked, and there was a few Unhinged on there. And my girlfriend's going, no, this is it. And I'm like, I have been called unhinged before, but I don't actually really know what it means. So we looked up some synonyms. So I'll bring them up for you. Synonyms for unhinged. Thanks, Siri. All right.
It's a big photo of Jara.
It is. All right. Deranged, demented, unbalanced, out of one's mind, crazed, mad, insane, lunatic, maniac, berserk, disturbed, distracted, crazy, mental, bats, loopy, bananas, out to lunch, off one's head, off one's rocker, potty. Can't say being called that one. Batty.
You have a potty mouth, but.
Confused. I have been called every one of these names somewhere along the lines. So it was rather fitting. And then Ink.
And I've probably called you all of them as well.
Oh, that's not very nice. So that's where Unhinged Ink came from. So we will be getting unhinged on here. One thing I do want to do with all my guests is ask them a question. And it's been really hard because a lot of podcasts do this, and it'll be a question that gets asked to everybody. But all the good ones are taken up, like, your most embarrassing moment, like shitting yourself when you squat at the gym.
One time.
It only takes one time. Trying to come up with questions to ask that they got to be random. I don't want to be asking the same questions anyone asks of my guests. One big thing when I'm interviewing people is I want to dive deep into who they are at the core and what they're passionate about. None of this surface level shit. So coming up with questions. Do you got any idea? What would you ask?
Well, with our work, obviously I work with geologists, and our head geo, his one question whenever he does an interview with any level of geologist, his one question...
Is this a recruitment interview or just
This is a recruitment interview.
Oh, okay,
this is a job application recruitment interview.
Yeah.
Ask all the questions. His question, and if you don't answer it right, you will not get a look in, is what is your favourite rock?
So I'm going to ask all my guests, what's your favourite rock?
Yeah, so I've actually gone down this road. Every time we've done interviews now, I ask the question. And they rattle off, I don't know, technical names. I got no idea, so I just sit there and look stupid.
Or what's your favourite rock?
I'll only say this because I'm young Finn. This word is probably the most spoken word in our office, and it's a breccia.
For those of us that don't know rocks, apart from diamonds and other...
A breccia is... they make kitchen benches out of it.
Granite?
Granite, yeah. Breccia's like a granite.
So it's a sparkly?
Can be, yeah.
Flaky?
No. It's solid. Yeah,
but doesn't granite look flaky?
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
But it's not flaky. It's solid rock. But a breccia is basically a granite.
Okay.
There's all different types of it.
So yours is a breccia?
Only because that's the only one I know.
Okay. Mine's onyx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not.
I like topaz. I love it.
Oh.
I mean,
right, okay,
no, I do, but onyx has always been my favourite. Like, to me, rocks and stones are pretty sparkly things, not dirty things in the ground. But I suppose we all start somewhere, don't we?
Yeah.
All right. So we've got, what's your favourite rock? If you were any animal, what would it be?
A rhino. Have to be a rhino.
And why? Why do you resonate with a rhino?
Because they're big and misunderstood. Like everyone thinks they're this big. Oh, look, they are a scary animal, but they're a solitude animal. They don't really have a pack. Well, they kind of do. They kind of don't. Yeah, they're territorial. They're not aggressive unless you come into their territory. But
okay,
pretty much.
Fair enough. All right, so we've got, what's your favourite rock? And if you're an animal, what would it be and why? Okay, we can work with that.
Well, what animal would you be? Lioness.
Want to be or would be?
What do you think you would be as you
me?
stand now, but you were in an animal's body? What animal?
No, like what are the black pumas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, puma.
Yeah, I think it'd be a puma.
Yeah. I can see
Puma. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor.
I said that to the kids the other day, and they all looked at me like I was an idiot.
I make comments all the time in the salon. I quote like Forrest Gump or Kindergarten Cop or anything like that, and people are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I say to work, I'll say something, and they're like, what? I'm like, oh, it's from this movie. What movie? I'm like, so I just give up now.
We were talking about cheerleader movies in the salon the other day, and I said, oh, what about Bring It On? And they're like, what? I'm like, the Compton Wildcats. They're like, no.
Have you ever seen the spoof movie of that with that Jamie...
Is it Taking the Piss?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a spoof movie, yeah.
No. I thought spoof meant something else.
Spoof or whatever it's called.
Spoof does not mean that.
You like a bit of spoof, but anyway.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Needs more dragons.
Lots more dragons.
Yes.
There you go. There's a movie line right there.
What?
It needs more dragons.
What's that off?
The model movie. Hansel and Ben Stiller. What's the Ben Stiller one?
The model movie?
Yeah, with Ben Stiller. They just made a sequel to it a few years ago.
Zoolander. That's right.
So
the files are in the
when
computer.
Hansel, Owen Wilson, and Ben Stiller fighting, I think Ben Stiller tells a story, and Mr. Wilson turns around and says, "Cool story, Hansel, needs more dragons." That's where
I just thought that was Cameron's saying.
No, it comes from that movie.
Oh, God.
There you go. What made you get the neck tattoo?
Oh,
yeah. No. What made her get the neck tattoo was just come home one day and went, oh, a neck tattoo.
And Look, in my argument, I already had an appointment booked 3 days later to do the next stage of my leg sleeve. However, I couldn't work out what I wanted. So instead of trying to work out what I wanted on my leg sleeve, I walked in and just went, I want this on my neck. And my tattoo artist, he's a really cool dude.
Shout out to Chris.
Acres of Skin. Absolute legend. I think even he was taken back. I'm a bit random when it comes to my tattoos.
When the first time we went to him to get tattoos, we got matching tattoos on our heads,
Kings
King and
Queen.
And he was mocking us, taking the piss out of us. Like, pretty much just hung shit on us from the moment we walked in. And we walked out and Jazz goes, oh, he's so lovely. I think he liked our tattoos. I was like, he was mocking us.
And the next time I went in, when he started doing my arm sleeve, I was like, you know that first time we met you and you did the King and Queen tattoo, and come out and he goes, oh, where's my Kings and Queen? And I'm like, he's so nice. He goes, fuck, I was mocking you so bad. I'm like, oh, I really didn't think you were, but anyway. Oh dear. Fuck. But yeah, so I just randomly got my neck tat, and I don't like people staring at me. So it was a bit, I didn't think it through in that regards. I do get a lot of people stare at me because of my neck tattoo and turn away.
Middle-aged ladies.
Oh,
little
yeah.
Karens.
I don't know why. It's the oldies love it. I got like the 80-year-old women and men will stop me and be like, I love your tattoos. But that 55 to 60, maybe a little bit into the 60, they'll be walking with their friends and they see me and it's a little whisper, and then they look back and it's like, I know you're talking about me. And it's like, oh, and then they say stuff as you go past.
And young adolescent males enjoy it too.
Yeah, but I don't hold back. I do not hold back. That's one thing. It's all right to have a quick little look, but there's a way to do it, and there's a way to be degrading, and there's a way to be really public and humiliating about it. And if this is you, I will call you a fucking idiot, and I will give you a mouthful in public, and I don't care where we are. I did that at Baker de North yesterday, actually.
Shout out to the 4 young tradies.
Who hopefully will never do that again. And also props to the only man that was around that turned around and actually stood up for me. So that was really nice. But
actually, there's a topic here. Don't you want to talk about your sport? Mrs. Overachiever.
Mr.
Mrs. Overachiever.
Oh, look, I had a pretty, I don't know how you would describe it, a very unique childhood. It was very surreal, and it's probably taken me to be in my later years to actually understand it all. My mum did a very good job of sheltering me as best she could from a lot of the shitstorm that was going on around me. And part of that was taking me to athletics. So my mum never pushed me, which was always great, but she was always there to take me places and put me into carnivals. And I took to little athletics pretty quickly. First time I ran over a hurdle, was just natural from what I was told, and it developed from there. And probably from about the age of 7, I was taking out Australian titles, Queensland titles, records. I did everything from sprints to long jump, triple jump, hurdles, 800, relays, up till about probably 12 or 13 when those body changes start to happen, and that naturally gifted talent sort of wears off, and you've got to work a bit harder on some of the other events. So you've got to start to sacrifice and choose which events you really enjoy doing. My speed was starting to slow down a little bit. I was originally a sprinter, but by the time I hit about 13, 14, I was sitting about 3rd or 4th in my age group with some really quick girls in front of me, but I was still extremely quick over the hurdles. So hurdles and triple jump became my jam. And then I was lucky enough to sort of hang around in that 4x100 space and get to run in some pretty stacked 4x100 teams of some really fast humans.
Junior Olympic silver in the 4x100
relay? Yeah. So our little team of no names, and I'm pretty sure, so Junior Olympics from memory is under 19s. I was 16, and who did we have? Jacinta was 16. 3 of us were 16 and 1 was 17 going 18. So we were a really young team. It was in the year 2000. We got to actually be the practice run for the Sydney 2000 Olympics. So that transpired in the January. So would have only just turned 16 when I was there.
And also silver in the long jump.
Funnily enough, yeah, I was injured at the national titles, which is where they did the selections from a couple of months earlier. So I was only able to do a couple of events there because I hadn't been able to train for 9 weeks. I tore my hamstring at the state titles. So I didn't get to do all of my pet events, being hurdles and triple jump. And unfortunately, I was overlooked for hurdle and triple jump in that team. But in saying that at the time, I didn't think there was a hope in hell. as a 15-year-old, about to turn 16 a few months later, that I was going to be selected to go to the Youth Olympics. So somehow I'd done long jump before. I'd done all right. I definitely wasn't on the world stage with long jump, but I got selected. So all over those holidays, I think there was three months between national titles and the youth games, and I long jumped the hell out of it. I had nothing to lose, which I think was a lot easier for me, because I was this kid that no one knew about long jump that just turned up and decided to have a crack. I never long jumped after the Youth Olympics.
Oh, yeah, but you won the silver for the long jump.
Yeah, I did. My best friend at the time won the gold, and I was so proud of her. She was Mrs. Long Jump. Like, she's absolutely incredible, and I think I was 1 centimetre behind her. I led her into the final rounds, and everyone was extremely shocked. My coach drove all night and slept in his car at the stadium to watch me. My mum drove all night and just got there just in time. Yeah, it was pretty surreal. I was just happy to come second, because first place got drug tested, and I didn't want to have to, as a 15-year-old, pee in a cup in front of people. So I remember walking past poor Jacinta when she was with the drug people, and like middle fingers up, going, "Suck shit, you got to piss in a cup." She's stoked she won gold and then had to go do that. So she didn't actually get back till about 3.5 hours later.
Yeah, because they got to watch it, hey.
Got to watch everything. So it's not like a lot of the ones that they do are just sort of basic. You can go in the stall and do it yourself. But when you're competing on a world stage where ASDA and all of that and WADA are involved, you've got to lift your shirt up, tuck it in your bra, drop everything to the bottom. So not my first rodeo. I'd been drug tested before. I'd been on the circuit a fair bit, but very confronting as a 15, 16-year-old.
I found it hard enough as a 29-year-old having to do it. So.
Unfortunately, then my back started playing up not long after that. I think it was only a couple of months after that. And I got into the starting blocks at a meet at the University of Queensland, stood up to go set, and the gun went and my back seized up. And that was the start of my back journey, which we've only just had my 4th surgery on. So that sort of changed my sails, and I was always going to be Jara the Olympian. There was nothing else. So I had a bit of an identity crisis at 16, which sounds a bit silly, but I had banked everything on going to the Olympics, and all of a sudden I couldn't tie my own shoes up, and I couldn't do something I love so much, and something that had become my coping mechanism.
And introduce touch.
I'd been playing touch
but not
through school, but athletics always had to take priority.
Before we get into that, can you tell me, because at the time you were in the Australian touch team, and you got a D for touch at school.
Oh, no. Okay. So
how does that work?
I would have been in year 10, the early stages of year 10, and was at high school, and we were doing touch football as a sport in HP. So mind you, there was an element of theory to this, which I did complete. But yeah, at the start of that year, I'd made the Australian junior side, and that was earlier in the year. This wasn't my first Australian side I'd ever made. I'd played rep teams and everything else, and he marked me a C- in the physical side of things, and said I didn't have an idea of how touch football worked.
Was he aware that you'd played for Australia?
He was aware. I had no concept of the game and basic game plays and terminologies, apparently, and then gave me a D in my, theory side of things, which, mind you, was cut and paste out of my Australian playbook, and still got a D. And he was a bit of a dick. And look, I think even after that, at the back end of the season again, I made Australia when I was still at that school, and instead of wearing my school uniform to school, I wore my Australian uniform and stormed into his classroom and danced on his desk. So look, I was a bit of a turd, thankfully.
Still is,
Thankfully, I had my sport to keep me going. But yeah, look, touch got me going through. You know, I went off the rails when I was 19, 20. Mental health played a really big factor into that. Dabbled in a bit of drugs, as you do at that age.
So was this was after touch, because you started playing?
During touch, yeah.
During touch.
So during touch. So I sort of really lost myself for a few years. And look, I tried to come back to touch, but the love just wasn't there. And to be honest, touch is a very hard game to play. While you could be the best person on the football field, if you're not kissing ass, or you're not besties with the coach or the selecting staff, they won't pick you. And perfect example of that was, I was a force on the field. I had white line fever and I had a bit of an attitude. Like, I'm not afraid to say that, and you can pull faces all you want. But I played hard. I played fair. And I played really, really well. And I wouldn't get selected in Queensland teams and would go away at a national titles and play against Queensland teams in a little Gold Coast team and be one of the first selected in the Australian side. I can put my hand in my heart and say I played perfect carnival. There was no reason I shouldn't have been in that Queensland team other than they just didn't like me. And that happened for so long. And I think that I lost the love of touch. And I remember in an interview after a game where I was player of the series, and I just said, I'm not going to fucking brown nose people to be selected. I'm not going to kiss your ass. I will play my ass off. And mind you, we are paying to represent our country when we play for touch. So these guys that are about to head off to the World Cup pay their way to represent their country in a World Cup. That's huge.
And the thing with touch, it's not like it's like a little hobby sport. Touch is massive
It's
throughout
huge.
Australia.
It's a great sport. But again, when I started playing, we were playing in Speedos. What you see this Olympic swimmers swim in is what we were playing in. There was...
Oh, hey, mummy.
Yeah, pretty much. Like... The men got to wear shorts and footy jerseys, standard. We ran around in swimmers. In the snow, I played a game in the snow down in Tasmania in swimwear. But, like, if you're running around diving, playing football, you can't do that in a pair of Speedos. They were up our butts, you'd dive, your boobs would fall out. Like, it was, if that doesn't show you how women were viewed in the sport, and look, it's come a really, really long way, but that was the only way they felt we would be watched.
Yeah.
So it was great. It served its purpose. I went and played some rugby union. That was fun. And then ended up playing some AFL. Interestingly enough, my dad didn't miss many AFL games. Didn't really watch me play much of my other sports, but being an AFL star himself back in the day, made time to come watch me play. And out of all the codes, AFL was probably my favourite.
Yeah, right.
It was the toughest.
Yeah.
A lot of people will argue that with me. A lot of rugby league players such as yourself will argue that with me, but you've also played a game of AFL.
Yeah, and I've said
it's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
At least in league,
you know where it's coming from.
You may get the odd blind side, but in AFL, head's got to be on swivel.
That's it.
You get blindsided everywhere.
And you're running, as a midfielder, 15 Ks a game.
I was super
pace.
fit.
Yeah.
I was like 95 kilos, super fit. I lasted about 10 minutes on the park, and I didn't even last night. I got sent off because I bashed someone, but that's not the point.
You rugby league tackled someone on an AFL field.
Yeah.
I had trouble with that when I first went across because they're standing there
he was just
stationary
upright,
and you're like, the perfect.
Eyes load up. Yeah. He was like a deer in headlight too. I fucking smacked him.
It's like the old bags at training and you're like, perfect technique, let's go.
Yeah. I did apologise to the lad. It was unfortunate.
And then took a seat on the bench for the rest of the game.
Pretty much, yeah.
That is unfortunate. But yeah, played a whole heap of sport. Bit sad my kids aren't as into sport as what I was. They're both very talented.
We live in a different era. And even not all sports. Rugby league sort of seems to be kicking goals up here, but a lot of sports are struggling with numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, it's expensive to play sport. And at the moment, things are ridiculously expensive.
Yeah. And when you got 5 kids.
Oh, God.
From your sports,
injuries
right now, because there's a reason why you didn't go to the Olympic. There's a reason why you missed the draft to the AFL.
I can tell you what, the year everyone started filtering through to the Olympics, I think it was Athens.
This is all the people that you were
that
around.
I grew up with. London. Sally Pearson won gold in London. And then watching the beautiful Alana Boyd. I'm sorry, Alana, I don't remember what your married name is now. Watching her go on. She was a hurdler and ended up winning gold in the pole vault. So it was really bittersweet. It was really beautiful to watch the people I'd formed really good relationships with do so well. Really hard, obviously, to watch Sally win a gold. But I can tell you right now, as much as her and I didn't get along, there wasn't many people I could ever say that worked harder than she did. I used to watch her and her mum catching buses and getting her to training, and they truly sacrificed so much. And, she was talented, but the work she put in, she 100% deserved that.
Yeah.
One of your mates, he was up there in javelin.
Jared Bannister, the late great Jared Bannister.
Yep. I was around. Some of the long jumpers and that were coming through. So that was a really difficult time as well. It sort of threw everything back into perspective. Q23, I had my first child, and then 9 months later, just after 9 months later, I had my second. So pretty soon after that, I was a single mum with 2 kids, and life really swiveled on its head. Very lucky I had my kids. As hard as it was, I don't think I would be here. I think I was on a crash course with just self-destruction, and I don't know. I think I probably would have put myself in a situation where I would have got seriously injured or hurt. So my injuries at that time were okay. They all sort of petered out.
Just so your back had come good by then?
Yeah, I don't know. It just sort of disappeared through both pregnancies. Never had an issue. Look, it would flare up here and there.
Obviously, but you weren't full on training like you were for athletics.
No.
Did it ever affect you during touch and union?
Yeah, look, I had what they misdiagnosed as sciatica, and it was all your glutes are too big. I've always been quite glute and hammy dominant. Thanks, babe. So that always had a really big effect on that. And back then, they really didn't want to put you under an MRI. I was young, had a really high pain threshold. So I wasn't able to really communicate just how painful it was. So it would flare up, and then I'd have a rest and go away. And, you know, I'd have these 6 or 7 months bout where I could stay really fit, and then it would floor me. It'd put me in bed. I'd rest up, and, you know, I think I was just trying to get really fit again after running a marathon, and was at the gym on a rower and just felt like a bit of a ting.
And again, but that was after your knee.
Yeah, it was after my knee. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so when I was playing AFL, sorry. So did my ACL playing AFL. Just started playing A grade down in Brizzy. Was really, really loving it. It was probably the fittest I'd ever been. I was running about 40 Ks a week, training 3 times a week. Nutrition was on point, and just was warming up and turned around a handball, and just you heard a rubber band snap. And look, I didn't have much pain, so I was like, I don't know what that was.
Because it kills the nerve as it goes. That's
why. So it dislocates. Yeah.
And there's a nerve there, and it kills the nerve, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty much. Some people can feel a lot of pain. I didn't really feel much, but when I went to stand up, I fell over. So everyone around me...
That's nothing unusual with
I know.
You,
I'm very clumsy. But yeah, everybody around me knew pretty quickly what had happened, and sort of bustled me off to the hospital. They can't see much at that point because of the swelling, so you got to come back in a week's time and whatnot. Coming from an AFL family, my mum and my dad were nearly 99% positive it was an ACL. I had no idea what ACL was. I'd never done an injury like that. Normally it's, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it was. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office with them, and she's like, I'm so sorry, it's an ACL. And my mum started crying, and I'm like, oh yeah, 6, 8 weeks? And she's like,
months.
12, 18 months? I was like, they never really prepped me for it. I would have my back surgery over an ACL any day of the week.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Any day of the week. So yeah, ACL, had my surgery, never really was quite right. I was single mum still at the time, so I had to move home with my parents with my 2 small kids. I couldn't drive for 5 months, so I lost all independence and was bouncing from one house to the next between a friend's house, my mum and my dad's, because we were too much for everybody, which was really difficult. So packed on the kilos, and that's when I was at the gym and trying to shed some of that ACL weight, and was getting really fit and just getting back into it, and felt the twing in my back. And from there, it was 2 years before they would do an emergency operation on me and actually listen to me that something was really wrong.
And that was a herniated disc. L1S5?
L5S1. So
dyslexia.
A lot of people ask me what happened. So I've got a few of my vertebrae, which is the bones in your back, which is starting to crumble. Some of it's hereditary, some of it's from triple jump and athletics training and whatnot. From a young age, I was at the track for 2 hours at a time, bounding, jumping. So I'm sure that had an effect on it. But essentially what kept happening is this one disc would probably over my younger life would just blow up and then go back down, blow up, go back down. And each time it would blow up, it would put pressure on your spinal cord, and then that compresses the nerve. So it's like you've got hot lava running down your legs 24/7. There is no way you can sit, lay, stand, do anything. There's no amount of endone or weed that you can smoke that will make this pain go away. So it's like the worst tooth pain you've ever had in your life that just never goes away. So this time my disc blew out and split, so I had the liquid coming out. So it was compressing my spinal cord, which was, I had constant pain, loss of sensation in my feet, and eventually I lost all movement from the waist down.
Not your toes, but
On my toes?
no, your big toe.
Oh, now that's different. Oh, fuck it. Why have you got to ruin everything?
Anyway, so back to it, yeah.
Anyway, so fast forwarding, I've had 4 back surgeries in the space of 4.5 years. I think it is now, 4.5, 5 years. Yeah, first one, what they do is they go in and they just cut the bit that's sticking out, and that's generally what anyone needs to do. 6 months.
Sew it shut.
Sew it shut, push it back in, away you go. 6 months later, you should be right to start getting back to normal life. 6 months on the day, funnily enough, dealing with another big issue I was dealing with. My back went on me without any warning. I went to wake up in the morning and couldn't walk and had to drag myself down the hallway like Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio trying to drag himself into the car. And then got the news, yep, it's herniated again. So I was in surgery. Thankfully, it was a planned surgery 2 months later. And then I met you not long after that one. A few months after that, I met you. And what did we get?
I met you at the 5-month mark.
Yeah, we got probably another 8 months out of that one, and it went. And then
that was an emergency. Put on the plane.
Look.
Down to Brisbane for a 10 centimetre cut outside, 20 centimetre inside.
Lot of stitches.
90% of the disc.
Yeah, so then the chances of that disc coming out with only like 10% of my disc left in there is like nearly impossible. Not with
we
me.
got 18 months out of that.
Well, thankfully, we were able to plan this one. And this one was a really big one. So they've inserted rods and all that sort of stuff into my back. So I now have 2 20 centimetre rods in my back and 4 massive screws.
Stainless steel roof screws into your vertebrae.
Yeah, pretty much roofing screws.
And a fake, it's
bone
all
now.
fused together now, but a cage put in where your disc was.
Yeah, so it's been a tough journey back.
7 months now, 8 months.
Nearly 8 months. Nearly 8 months. Still got about another 10 months till full recovery, but we have no nerve pain for the first time in about 12 years since it really started firing up. And my dog ate my thumb.
Right,
That doesn't bend. So that's right. 6 months into me starting the beauty business, my beautiful, beautiful American staffy just lost her mind and started fighting with our German Shepherd. And unfortunately, I was between them and they went to fight each other and Staffy bit my thumb and lockjawed onto my thumb. So compound fracture with my bone sticking through. I think we had 20 stitches all around my thumb. So I was very lucky not to lose my thumb. It was a long way back having to learn how to rehold the brush to do eyebrows and everything like that. So we're doing some F45.
which again is also a former contact from Australian Touch, Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly, I always call her McGinnity, Kelly Kennedy. So she owns F45 at Thuringowa and Townsville Central. So that's been pretty cool to get back out there and work out with someone I played an Australian team with. I think I would have been like 14. She would have been 15, 16.
Yeah, she's my age.
Yeah, so that's been really, really good. And I love it. You just rock up. I follow people because I'm ADHD and I get confused. So, but no, it's been really, really good getting back out into it. And I'm just really excited about this podcast, actually.
Oh, well, really? The smile on your face?
I'm a bit pissed off that you went on someone else's before you went on mine.
Well...
No. But you didn't even know you were going on the podcast.
Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. I didn't even know I was going on it till probably like a week before.
Till the person you were going on it told me and I told you, which is sort of how the story goes in this household. Give the people what they want. Let me see if anyone wrote.
People want an OnlyFans.
No, we've spoken about that. Oh, Kayla. She's like, talk about how much you guys love me. We love Kayla. We love Kayla so much that our son thought someone was in our front yard yesterday. That was Kayla, but Kayla's in New South Wales. So shout out to Kayla. We love you. And when you're up here, you will have to be on here. That girl has overcome so much.
That's
it's incredible. Yep. She's one of the strongest people I've ever met. All right, here's some questions. Shaun, what do you eat to get so big?
Everything. All the foods.
Go run through a typical sort of day in the life of food.
I don't know. That's hard to... I don't really have a set typical day, but I can tell you in a week what we do. So we'll buy a 5 kilo rump from IGA, and that will be done in a week. So I'd probably eat close to maybe 3 to 4 kilos of steak a week. High carbs, lots of carbs, probably about 400 grams of carbs a day. I do like a treat. So Otto's is just down the road from where I work, so that gets hit up quite often. But I'd probably have to consume somewhere around 4,000 calories a day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's why our food bill's so high.
Aldi's buddy absolutely saved
That was
us.
still today $360 without buying meat.
All right. Who asked who out?
Bumble, thank you, Bumble. Bumble for that. Well, so technically, no, I asked you out. Well, you had to speak first, or you had to, because that's the way Bumble works.
Yep.
But
And you asked me on a date and didn't plan anything. And then
I did plan. I turned up.
he turned up and told me that all women were the same. He was done with us all. And I'm here going, you were my last shot at this love thing.
And it worked out, didn't it?
It did work
It was
out.
your last shot, yeah.
Oh.
That's right. And I couldn't come into the date being all lovey-dovey because you women don't want.
Yeah.
You say
okay.
you want that.
Alrighty. When did you decide to get married? And
pretty early on.
yeah.
I think I was more a bit worried early on, but hesitant because I'd been married once before. And I was a bit, like I said, you were on our first date, my judgment in women or my choices in women wasn't, my track record wasn't great.
Yep.
So I was a little bit unsure, but not within you, but within if what I was feeling and seeing was probably right, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I was looking for the negative. That's actually what I was trying to do.
Yeah, okay.
When you'd spend so much time overlooking negative for certain people.
Yep.
Kind of felt like I was looking for the negative. We were together, just under 12 months when I asked you? It was just under?
A little bit under.
Yeah, a little bit under 12
Yeah, we hadn't been
months.
together 12 months.
No.
We were married 4 months after. We'd been together 12 months. Yeah.
So I knew pretty early. Like, well, you moved up here after about 3 months of being together.
Yep.
And those 3 months flew because I was still in the mines then. So, we were away, apart for a while. So.
Yeah, we were. What is both of your weirdest habits? So we answer this for each other.
I don't have any weird habits.
I don't know if you do.
No, I'm pretty stock standard.
Oh, sniffing your balls.
Fuck off. That, every male does that. It's a check to make sure that...
After scratching for 20 minutes.
It's not 20 minutes.
It's 20 minutes.
Oh, whatever.
What would mine be? Sleep eating or my random noises?
Nah, I'm okay with the random noises. Probably your sleep eating. Not weirdest habit, but it's quite funny watching you when you walk into a room to do something, you forget, and then you stand there and you can't remember that's pretty funny.
Yeah, so I have blackouts from all the liquor that the doctors prescribe me, and I can walk into a room and completely forget what I'm doing, or drive somewhere and be like, kids, where are we going? I have no idea sometimes, but it makes life interesting. Favourite colour?
Black.
Yeah, same.
It goes with everything.
It's just easy.
Yeah, it goes with everything.
It's happy, it's sad, it's...
I don't know about sad. It's a bad rap. It's like crows. Crows get a bad rap.
I love crows.
Crows is beginning of life.
What jobs have you had? It says, I know Jara's had a lot of random jobs, but what jobs have you had that we don't know about?
When I was 14, I was a night stacker at Big W.
Yep.
Then, while still doing that, I then got a job at Toy Kingdom.
Yep.
I only did that for about 12 months. And then I quit both them and got my apprenticeship, did a plumbing apprenticeship. Worked as a glassy for about 6 months while I was doing my apprenticeship. Finished my plumbing apprenticeship, started my own business, had my own business for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Then I went mining, I was plumbing in the mines, and then pretty much from there I've just done safety.
Yeah, right.
Now I'm safety for a gold company.
Well done. I worked for a law firm.
And the police, that's the best one. That is, honestly, when you tell me the story, that...
Yeah, I forgot. So real estate was probably my biggest career out of school. I think it spanned 13 years in the end. But yeah, before that, I sort of changed around a little bit. I did work as a civilian for Queensland Police. Did not turn up to a Monday shift that I had a big party over the weekend and had wrapped my friends up in police tape. And the cops turned up from work to do a welfare check to make sure I was okay because I wasn't answering the phone and the front door was unlocked and my poor friend Garrels was wrapped in police line do not cross tape. So I got in a bit of trouble, but they were fantastic. And then I did a bit of a painting apprenticeship. I was a trades assistant for a Sparky. I built fences. What else did I do? I did a lot of administration, office management style of work. I briefly worked at Glamour up here while I was getting my beauty business off the ground.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Bickerings.
Yeah, Pickering's, EA work, so
Yep.
assistant style work. I just sort of floated, dabbled in things here and there. I think I did like 6 months trade work at a hairdressing salon and just swept floors for 6 months.
Yep.
That was pretty boring, but you got your hair done for free, so I didn't really care at the time.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
The police aren't. That's the best.
Yeah.
Knowing you and knowing what you've gotten up to in your life, and knowing that you work for the police, it blows my mind. It's funny.
I don't know how I got. Oh well, I do because people who I lived with at the time worked there, so they put in the good word for me. But it was good fun. It was good fun.
Sounds it. Sounds like great fun. Government jobs are like that.
Pretty much. I was in Interpol though, so I did all the international checks on people, checking on their history and that, and the amount of people that had a criminal record overseas that were trying to get into the Australian police force. It's
right.
No, do you not think we check? Yeah, so interesting. I think one of them had got done for manslaughter and spent 12 years in jail.
And then was trying to be a pigger.
And then trying to be,
Copper, yeah.
Yeah, so, and just random.
Yeah.
Really random. So, that was fun. I wasn't there too long.
Yeah.
I used to work
Long
there.
enough, but
long enough. Yeah, I've certainly lived.
Mm.
I've definitely put myself in a lot of unnecessary and dangerous situations, but thankfully not too many people took advantage of that, so I'm still here and not buried.
Total contrast to how I grew up.
I was a city slicker kid that grew up running amok through the city in the valley, and you were out in a 3-sided shed with a dirt floor and no power. And where'd you bath?
Mount Fox. Oh, we had a clawfoot bath that we used to build a fire, and then we'd have the bath close enough to the fire. We'd heat the water up.
Yeah.
Just have a bath out in the middle of the open. We slept in a lawn locker. I think it was a 6x3 lawn locker that we all slept in.
In bunks.
It's
incredible.
Yep.
Your dad was so growing crops.
Yeah, he was.
You guys were so off the grid. And yet, for the future, all we want is to go back to how your dad raised you.
Yeah, and look, Dad was happy enough living up there. He loved it. Mum didn't like it. I think it was like the third night up there, Dad tells the story. She got because my little sister Caitlin was only a baby then. Got up, changed Caitlin's nappy, got bailed up by a Eastern Brown.
Wow.
Yeah, she was up on the table, and the Eastern Brown was trying to get there. Luckily, we had 2 big German Shepherds that
and a cat too, wasn't it?
That was my cat. Yeah, battle cat.
Did you call your cat Battle Cat?
No, we called him Cringer. So,
okay.
Do you know who?
Cringer.
Cringer.
What's that off?
He's Battle Cat off. So Cringer turns into Battle Cat off He-Man. So when He-Man turns into He-Man, Cringer turns into Battle Cat.
I forget how much you love those shows. Yeah.
Anyway,
and it was bailing her up.
Yeah, so Dad had to go in there and shoot it with a shotgun.
Jesus.
Yeah, great times.
It's hard living out in the land. So it's funny, you grew up that way. I grew up, I wouldn't say a city slicker, but I was born in Melbourne.
Yeah, lived in Brisbane.
My dad played AFL. I grew up at football field. Very much around a lot of people, a lot of built up areas. Was probably sheltered from all the flashy lights and everything a little bit. Yeah, and the contrast. Yet now all I crave is peace, space, and quiet. Yeah, so that's the aim. We want 10 acres just outside of town.
Commune. As you
Build
call
a commune.
Yeah.
That's it. Away from people.
Yeah. Commune, normally you have to have people in there.
No, I get to pick the people.
Yeah.
Courtney and Stathy and Meadow can come.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We'll build them
and
a house.
Hasbulla.
Oh, yeah. Hasbulla can come. That's if they want to. Yeah, I don't know. The way the world is at the moment too, it's just, especially I think for females at the moment, it's a really odd place to be. And
Don't get me started on the subject because I'll talk all day on this subject.
Yeah, we just want to be out in the fresh air. We want our kids out running around, not stuck to an Xbox or a PlayStation and getting caught up in everything else.
Which we tend to do a lot of camping, which sort of provides that in little bits for them at the moment.
We love camping. It's great. I don't sleep, so I end up coming back extremely tired, but that's okay.
I sleep, and everyone knows I sleep.
What else?
I think that's about it.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our latest episode. Your support means the world. So wherever you're listening, if you don't mind jumping on, follow, share it with someone that might get something out of it. I would so appreciate it. If there's something in this episode that has piqued your interest and you want to get in touch, please slide into the DMs. Until next episode, guys, stay safe, be an extra kind human, and see you soon.